Boris, getting all choked up already. I haven't even started the book. Boris Karloff presents more tales of the frightened. Text by Robert Laurie, 1975 Pyramid book. And we'll start with the first story for obvious reasons. Heartthrob, the story of Dwayne Winsome. I so detest pushy people, don't you? I mean, the kind of people who just won't let you be alone, but who insist on forcing themselves upon you. Dwayne Winsome was such a person, but he learned his lesson. In any event, I think he did. He certainly should have. In the Los Angeles office building where Dwayne Winsome worked, he knew almost all of the young ladies by name. The pretty ones, at least. He had dated most of them, not that they had willingly gone out with him. It was just that, well, he was that type of man. He simply wouldn't take no for an answer. He was a good-looking young man, and intelligent too, but he did have one serious blind spot in his makeup. He simply could not comprehend that there was any woman on this earth, let alone Los Angeles, who would not want to spend an evening with one Dwayne Winsome. So it was with his usual arrogance that he carried his tray to a particular table in the building's ground floor cafeteria and sat down uninvited across from the raven-haired young woman who seemed to be toying with her cup of black coffee. He was, of course, quick to introduce himself, and just as quick to observe aloud that he'd not seen her here before. She, on her part, merely said that she didn't work in the building. She just thought she'd try out the food here. Her eyes, however, communicated the fact that she wished Dwayne Winsome would take his tray and himself to some other table. Or they would have communicated that fact to anyone other than Dwayne Winsome. On his part, he was eager for a date with this lovely, which she really was. It was only when she refused to accompany him that evening to, in order of mention, a movie, a stage show, a friend's party, a walk about town, and an evening at home, that he thought to ask the young lady why. Did she already have an engagement? Perhaps tomorrow night would be better. No, she told him. She had no engagement tonight. But no, tomorrow night would be no better. It was her mother. Her voice tinkled like notes from a dainty silver bell as she told him, I can go out with no one until Mother gives her approval. And for the time being, she has had her fill of my men friends. But she has not met me, Dwayne insisted, satisfying himself that it would be not much of a chore to set the girl's mother at ease. No doubt the old woman's interest was right in terms of some of the riffraff who probably pushed themselves at her lovely daughter's feet. But he, after all, was Dwayne Winsome. The mother, as well as the daughter, would recognize his intrinsic qualities. Yet the girl seemed unsure. Nonetheless, he advanced his argument forcefully, with the fullness of his force, that is, and finally the girl could do little except stare open-mouthed at his power. He knew the moment when it came, knew that he'd be accompanying her home this evening, and after that, well, he would see about that. Indeed he would. When the taxi dropped them in front of the old wooden building in an ancient neighborhood which Dwayne never had ventured into before, he was surprised. Privacy, the girl said softly. Mother and I like privacy. Well, he thought to himself, this certainly was the place to get it. The buildings, all of them, including the one which they were now approaching, should have been condemned a long time ago. As she unlocked and opened the door, he noted that there seemed to be very little light in the interior, and the dust. Arrgh, he said, startled as he stepped into the foyer. It's actually a foyer, and into the mass of cobwebs. Whoa, flash is disabled. Why would my device overheat? Come on now, buddy. Well, that's going to make it next to impossible to read. Let me turn on the light, I guess. The girl looked back at him, but said nothing. He shrugged, resigned to the filthy state of the housekeeping, and stepped after her. He did so for exactly 6 paces. Then he found he couldn't move. His legs and arms were so entwined by the gray-spun cobwebs that he could move neither forward nor backward. It was then the girl again turned and came toward him. Behind her was something Dwayne at first thought was her shadow. It wasn't. It evidenced movement of its own. Low to the ground it was, a thing which looked like the giant form of some shell one might find at the beach. Well, it would have looked that way were it not for the 6 long, thin, red-colored legs which moved it forward. Mother, the girl said by way of introduction. Well, you can imagine just how vigorously Dwayne Winsome fought against the strands which held him. Alas, it was all to no avail. After he relaxed in a state of exhaustion, he looked up to see the girl's eyes shining bright before him. As I said, Mother has had her fill of my men friends for the time being. Fortunately, you will keep. It is in the remembered echoes of Dwayne Winsome's shrieking that I consider your invitation to dinner this evening. The invitation I have tried politely to decline, but which now you have left me little alternative but to accept. I do accept it, but on one condition, that I am allowed to bring someone with me. Woo! That's quality. It's quality frights, bruvs. All right. That's all.